Bags of strength and depth in that Celtic squad. We know all about it, and that allows Martin O'Neill the luxury to chop and change and freshen things up and leave out significant players like Johan Jalby and Cillian Petrov, and know that he doesn't necessarily weaken the side. It's Partick Thistle against Celtic for the first time in over 6 years. When Celtic were last at Firhill, they won by 4 goals to 2, and Pierre Van Hooijdonk scored a couple of them. Neil Lennon has had the sort of week of which nightmares are made, a death threat in Belfast on Wednesday, and he got a really big response from both sets of supporters as he came out this afternoon. There was only one place he wanted to be, and that was on the pitch doing his bit for Celtic. Derek White, good 7 years as a Celtic player, and he won a couple of championships in his time at Parkhead as well. More recently, of course, he's been a mainstay of the Aberdeen defence. Left Pittodrie in the summer, and with Danny Lennon on the bench, he's the club captain. Derek White takes the skipper's armband this afternoon. And before we get the match started, there will be a minute's silence. Mike McCarry handles the fixture this afternoon, and Paul Lambert there, who captained Scotland in midweek, leads Celtic this afternoon. And there's the Partick Thistle manager back in the big time for John Lambert. But before we get underway here at Firhill, a poignant moment as we observe a minute's silence in memory of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. I think they're in all our thoughts at the moment. And all sports uniting this weekend to honour Holly and Jessica, to mark the memory of their tragic loss. And there will be a minute's silence at all major sporting fixtures around the country this afternoon. Steve Cragen, 1/3 of the Thistle backline this afternoon, the former Motherwell player. And he'll line up alongside Scott Patterson, who was outstanding for Thistle last season, and Derek White, of course, completes that back line. The Celtic huddle getting a mixed response, and Martin O'Neill will have told his players to get on with this afternoon and do the business here before any thoughts start wavering towards Wednesday night in Basel, and undoubtedly Celtic's biggest match of the season so far. But we're underway with Partick Thistle against Celtic, the third live match of 38 from BBC Scotland this season on the back of Scotland Premierleague. Intriguing it promises to be, and how will Thistle cope against top-class opposition here. Jackie McNamara on the ball, keeping his place in the midfield, which was encouraging for him. And he certainly is a player who you would imagine deserves better than a seat on the bench.
You're right, Rob. I seen Jackie play last week in the Celtic team. There's no way Martin O'Neill could leave him out today. He was exceptional. His attitude to the game was first class for someone who's been out for so long.
A late one from Joos Valgaeren. And the first free kick of the match awarded by Mike McCarry.
An easy one from Mike McCarry. Big Joos there. He's just attacking from behind, but just in modern football you just don't get away with that one. And Mike McCarry right to give the free kick.
Derek White with the free kick, and Scott Patterson alongside. Long ball from Craigan, but that's straight through to Rob Douglas. Thistle playing 3 up, and they want to give them a decent service.
It's got to be a better ball, Rod. That's pure delivery from Stephen Craigan. He's not under any pressure whatsoever. He's got to try and find the feet of the strikers. Jamie Mitchell and Alec Burns, they prefer the ball into feet. He's got to try and do that from the back end, especially when they get time on the ball.
Douglas aims for Chris Sutton. Scott Patterson got a bit of it to get the ball away. Alan Archibald downfield, and Alec Burns chasing. And Ulrik Laursen getting another sample of first team football with Celtic. He was an automatic choice at Hibs, but it won't come that way for him at Celtic Park, that's for sure. He'll have to be at his very best to keep a place in that back line. The first threat from Didier Agathe, goal kick.
Didier will be disappointed with that one. You can see maybe a little bit of staleness coming into his play there. Didn't judge the weight of the ball forward properly. Eventually running the ball out of the park. Interesting today, Rob, the tussle, if you want to call that, between Scott Patterson and Chris Sutton. Scott Patterson played exceptionally well last season for Thistle. Any time I've seen him play, and Chris Sutton is such a good player that it'll be interesting to see who wins that duel today.
The ex-Chelsea and Blackburn striker. He's made a big impression in Scottish football, and 3 goals in 3 games for him already this time around. So Sutton is hot, and Neil Lennon, as ever, is a big part of that engine room for Celtic. Alan Archibald with some hair this season. He was shaven for most of the last campaign.
Lucky man.
At least he's an option. Paul Lambert, and the gas wasn't out, chested down by Larsson. Good challenge from David Lilly to get there before Jackie McNamara. Alan Archibald, the longest serving player at Firhill, despite the fact he's only 24. That's Larsson, and Agathe doing what he does so well, powering up and down the touchline and doing his defensive duties there. So important for Thistle that they get off to a confident start. An early goal for Celtic, and they could be struggling.
Thistle have started well, Rob. As soon as they play the ball into feet and play short passes, they can certainly keep a hold of the ball, and that's so important today. If they give the ball away cheaply, they'll under pressure right away from this Celtic team.
That was a good ball from Scott Patterson, and Andy Gibson disappointed that he couldn't get that under control. That's White, chested down by Burns for Martin Hardy. A goal scorer from midfield. David Lilly did well to withstand the challenge. It's a good interchange down the right hand side. And the effort made to set up young Andy Gibson.
Good play from Thistle. Certainly the supporters are very happy. They're passing the ball, they're keeping it nice and simple, linking well, good delivery into the box, and Bobo Balde had to force the corner kick there.
Gibson with the chance, and Mitchell and Lilly doing the creating down the right side. In from Alan Archibald, and a good take by Robert Douglas. It was a busy 6-yard box, but he was above everyone and with a good pair of hands. This is awkward for Kenny Arthur. Knew he had to come, knew he couldn't handle it.
It's good goalkeeping. He made his mind up, Kenny Arthur. There was no messing about. He made his mind up very positive and managed to clear it.
Lambert to Lennon. Larsson to McNamara. Steve Guppy has a great left foot, and that's useful for Sutton just beyond him. And Derek White with the driving header gets it to safety. Here's Alec Burns. shirt sleeves weather. We even said that last night when it was dinging down here at Firhill, but Celtic starting to apply some pressure. Larsson, useful ball through, and that had to be very carefully dealt with. And there's the free kick, which infuriates the Thistle fans. Given again, Stalin Archibald for his challenge on Didier Agathe.
You can understand the frustration from the Thistle supporters there. Didier Agathe, for me, that's a challenge. There's not much in that, very unfortunate. But the assistant referee on this side is all a yard away. Hopefully he's got that one right.
In from Steve Guppy, great delivery, well defended. Lambert, Agathe, crisp passing, Valgaeren involved, and what a good challenge from Alan Archibald. Now Andy Gibson, well, that wasn't what was wanted by Jamie Mitchell. He was the only man up for Thistle, and he wanted that play to his feet.
That's what they've got to keep the ball. Whenever Thistle, when they win the ball at the back end, they've got time to play a pass, they've got to find the feet, they've got to keep a hold of the ball in the Celtic half.
McNamara's pass, Sutton on the end of it, but couldn't do much with it. Good work from Jamie Buchan. Thistle have lost it. Lambert works it on to Steve Guppy, and David Lilley's challenge was enough.
David Lilley's going to have a hard job today. Steve Guppy, when he goes down that left hand side, he just wraps his foot around the ball and plays great balls into the box.
Hardy did well to keep that. An awkward bounce for Derek White, deceives him. Henrik Larsson, here's a chance, and again, just wide.
Very unfortunate, Henrik Larsson there. Very unfortunate, Derek White in the first place. The ball took a real bad bobble. Henrik Larsson was onto that shot. Great skill, moving the ball from one foot to the other. First shot blocked, and a lot of unfortunate with the second one.
Martin Hardy back here doing some valuable defending alongside Derek White because he was in the way.
I think when you look at the amount of Partick Thistle bodies round about Larsson there, they're certainly working very hard at the moment to try and deny him space. A great skill from Larsson.
4 goals in 4 games already for Larsson. Normal service restored. And Derek White has problems. And Partick Thistle don't want to lose their captain. And a highly experienced defender as well. He's 34 next weekend. He'll be delighted. I'm informing you about that. But he hopes to get rid of that little knot and get himself back out there for Thistle.
I'm sure he'll be okay, Rob. He'll get back on his feet quickly. He's a resilient character, and John Lambert certainly want him back on the park sooner rather than later.
Kenny Arthur has been brought through the ranks by Partick Thistle. That's a good leap by Martin Hardy. Alec Burns, Scott Patterson, brave enough to win the challenge against Neil Lennon. And Thistle need to be brave here apart from anything else. Patterson again. Chase on for Mitchell, and he was decked by Robert Douglas off the ball. It was the goalkeeper's momentum which took him into Mitchell, but the Thistle fans were getting optimistic there that they might be onto something.
I'd like to see that one again. Rob Lawson certainly got a bit of a middle, and there was a hand used somewhere. I'm not sure if it was actually Rob Douglas or not.
Larsson overran that. Hardy intercepted. Derek White desperate to get back on. Thistle still at 10 men at the moment. Valgaeren pushing on. That's a good challenge from Patterson. He started the game well. And the noise around Firhill is all about getting White back on. But what about this, Sandy?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think there was a hand touch by Larsson there, but certainly Brad Douglas took the striker out to play.
Yeah. I think it was purely his momentum carrying him into Mitchell there.
Yeah.
As the ball ran free.
We'll give Mike McCurry the benefit of the doubt on this occasion.
Advantage played as Martin Hardy surges through the middle. Now Mitchell tried to chip Rob Douglas. Shows that his confidence is high, the former Clyde player, but the reaction from John Lambert tells you that he took the wrong option.
Yeah, John's disappointed with that. Martin Hardy driving forward from the middle of the park. It's so hard to defend against that. And Jamie Mitchell, he can do much better with that finish. I think he's tried to chip Douglas, which is no easy task when you look at the size of the big lad, and maybe would have been better firing the ball along the ground.
He scored twice last weekend, Mitchell, in the match against Livingston, so he's on a high, and clearly thought that he could loft that one over Rob Douglas, although it takes a bit of doing.
That's a strange decision for me. I thought the free kick must have gone Thistle's way there. But Mike McCurry decided that Martin Hardy was the one who fell Paul Lambert.
Neil Lennon's free kick, aimed at Chris Sutton. Scott Patterson first there. I'm impressed with him in the opening 12 minutes.
He's read the game very well. He's intercepted quite a few passes.
Here's danger though as Paul Lambert surges through, and who's in the way? Scott Patterson. He was outstanding last season for Thistle. There were doubts about how he could cope at this level. He's got a long way to go here, but he certainly made the best possible start. Now Alec Burns against Ulrik Laursen, had to get that right. Toasty, as they call him.
Toasty. The one thing about Alec Burns, he'll chase lost causes. He'll chase everything, every long ball through the middle. He'll try and go on the end of things.
Up goes Patterson again, but there was pushing going on by Chris Sutton.
Yeah.
I wonder who your man of the match is going to be this afternoon. I wonder who Sandy Clark's man of the match is going to be this afternoon. I think he decides pre-match personally.
Do you want me to pick it now?
0900 10 225 if you want to telephone us, and you can text us as well on 07736 600 600. Make your bid for man of the match. A DVD player could be yours. And the last twice Sandy's picked a player, he's scored within about 60 seconds.
You trying to put pressure on me?
You don't feel pressure. Cregan's throw, Balde's header, and that's Steve Guppy. Patterson again, he's positioning himself so well apart from anything else.
He reads the game so well, Rob. That's the important thing for me. And he's a big lad, he's got all the qualities to be a real first-class defender. I think earlier in his career he had a real bad back injury, and that's maybe hindered him a little bit.
Yeah, age 19, he was at Liverpool with Graham Souness, the manager, but injury has been with him right throughout his career, and it's only now that he's playing the best football of his life, aged 30. That was aimed for Sutton, and Martin Hardy was there. Thistle fans didn't fancy Neil Lennon's challenge, nor did Mike McCurry.
That was a heavy one. It looked a little bit high to me, first impressions. Yeah, I tell you what, Neil Lennon's been a little bit naughty there, there's no question about that. Mike McCurry's standing 3 yards away.
Yeah.
Lucky not to see the first yellow card in the match.
Jamie Buchan could have been hurt by that. And he got the feeling he withdrew slightly, seeing what was coming. There's Hardy. And there's a free kick. But what impresses me so far, Sandy, about Thistle is that they're really putting themselves about.
They're certainly up for the match, there's no question. When you look at this one, for me there's nothing in that. That's a challenge, two big guys being aggressive, trying to win the ball, and nobody getting the advantage there. I think McCurry's pulled up once or twice when has been necessary for me. John Lambert, I'm sure, will be having a few words with him.
That looked like an icy stare from Lambert towards the referee. There's Hardy. No great pressure on Bobo Balde. He can let that run. A hint of sunshine at Firhill. Thistle's 4th match in the Bank of Scotland Premier League. Here's Paul Lambert, failing to find Sutton. Young Andy Gibson. Played off Joos Valgaeren. Kenny Arthur's clearance, and Laursen there. Celtic don't lose any height in their back line by bringing in Laursen in place of Mjaldi. And aerially, Thistle can almost give up, you would think, at this stage when you look at their three against Celtic's back three.
That's why the delivery is so important. Like that one, you're into feet, drop it short, make it difficult for the big lads at the back, and Thistle, I'm sure, will get a bit of joy, as they're proving to do. They're working so hard for each other.
Derek White played that off Paul Lambert. 16 minutes gone, 0-0, and Thistle encouraged.
No question. Probably the best chance, the one that fell to Jamie Mitchell early on.
Andy Gibson, you may remember, scored that Tennant Scottish Cup winner at Dens Park against Dundee last season as Thistle headed towards the semi-finals of the competition.
Thistle fans a little bit upset at Mike McCurry. For me, that's very similar to their left challenge where he gave the free kick to Celtic.
Valgaeren's throw. White's header. Seemed to be dazzled by the sun there. Most of us are just happy to see the sun. Laursen, signed from Hibs during the post-season. Steve Guppy, he's been impressive in recent times for Celtic, but not there. White's pass is a poor one. Tried to pick out Alec Burns, but went straight to Bobo Balde. Useful attack from Celtic, halted by Jamie Buchan. Now Jamie Mitchell, the former Clyde player. In fact, he was a trainee at Norwich when Martin O'Neill was manager at Carrow Road. Don't know if Martin remembers him. Here he is again, lively presence. Martin Hardy played that first time. He sensed Agat's challenge about to come. And Alan Archibald stopped by Paul Lambert. But Thistle attacking the ball, closing things down, and making life difficult for Celtic. You have to believe against Celtic, because if you go onto the park psychologically beaten, then there's only one outcome.
You're right, Rob, and I tell you what, Thistle believe in themselves today. John Lambert's got them really fired up for this one. That's obviously one of his strengths, and there's no inferiority complexes at all. They're really going for it. 50-50s. Thistle are winning more than Celtic at the moment.
They say it's his last season in management. I believe it when I see it. Chris Sutton holding off the challenge from Hardy. Larsson beaten by Patterson. He's doing himself a lot of favours here, Scott Patterson. Very impressed so far.
He's had an excellent start. To do a haircut, he's had a good start.
Jealousy gets him over. Jamie Buchan to Steve Cragen. That's Mitchell. In went Lennon. Mitchell giving up nothing. McNamara did well, but that was out. And that's all down to the snapping and snarling of Jamie Mitchell. McNamara under pressure.
Not only that, Rob, when you look at it, Jamie Mitchell's not in his own. Every time that there's a challenge to be made, there's good backup from the Thistle players. There's always two or three round about to help each other out and press the Celtic team.
Lily's throw, back from Burns to Buchan, and nodded down by Hardy for White. Archibald, who joined Thistle as a YTS. The Jags are in his blood. Long ball from Patterson, looking for Lily's run. Trying his best to get there. And a free kick given against him again. And not an awful lot in that, I don't think.
I think the referee would maybe agree with him on that one.
A double bill of live Bank of Scotland Premier League football from us this weekend. This one is live, as is tomorrow, at Ammonvale, or the City Stadium, I think as it's called now. Changes its name every few weeks. Livingston against Kilmarnock, and that programme also includes highlights of Rangers against Aberdeen at Ibrox, so don't miss it. This is the home of Premier League football in Scotland. Great pass from Paul Lambert. That will sit up for Didier Agathe. Larsson and Sutton waiting. That came off Alan Archibald. Did it come off his arm? I don't think he knew much about it.
I don't think you can blame Archibald at all here. I think it's a great ball from Paul Lambert, freeing Didier Agathe down that right hand side. He could do much better with the delivery. It's a poor ball for Didier. I think he certainly did catch his arm, but accidentally.
I think the fact he was looking the other way probably bore out that feeling that that was unintentional from Archibald.
We've seen them given.
Steve Guppy's left foot in towards Joos Valgaeren at the near post. That's well defended again by Thistle. Martin Hardy was the marker. He's doing a lot of good defensive work, Hardy, where Thistle fans recognise him as an attacking threat. And that's obstruction on Laursen. And this is the sort of thing Thistle want to avoid, because it's an inviting set piece for Celtic, and it allows them to push Balde and Laursen into the box.
They've got good height throughout the team, Celtic, and there's lots of targets to hit there. That's why I'm surprised Guppy's last corner was played near post. They normally hang the ball up high so the big lads can attack it. I think you'll find them a better delivery from Neil Lennon this time.
In from Neil Lennon. Out comes Kenny Arthur. Good take. Dianbobo Balde was staring into his eyes, but the goalkeeper grabbed it.
It's good confident goalkeeping. It's up there to be won. Dianbobo Balde certainly a big threat, but Kenny Arthur, good safe hands, manages to cope admirably.
Archibald onto the loose ball. Didier Agathe leaving Thistle players trailing in his wake. Agathe at his best, and a good recovery. In fact, that's a brilliant recovery from Archibald. It's a goal kick, and this looked menacing.
It's good play, attacking wise from Didier Agathe there, but again the final ball, the delivery into the box is so important to get it right. He's maybe just a little bit unlucky that time, but give Archibald lots of credit for blocking the shot and eventually getting the lucky break to not to give away the corner kick.
I think you would have to say that Didier Agathe is getting back to his match sharpness. He's missed a lot of football, and the important thing for Martin O'Neill and for Didier Agathe is to get 90 minutes under his belt.
That's right, and when you see he actually knocked the ball beyond Alan Archibald there, give him 4 or 5 yards of a start and managed to get there before him. He's got exceptional pace.
Just past the midway point in the first half at Firhill, live for BBC Scotland. Partick Thistle 0, Celtic 0, and the Jags at the moment looking far from overawed.
They've got to be very happy with the start to the game. They're not overawed at all, as you say, Rob, and they're actually, whenever they pass the ball, whenever they get it into Mitchell and Burns' feet, they certainly look as if they can get up the park and cause Celtic 1 or 2 problems. I don't think you can underestimate the quality of the Celtic team, and the one thing about them under Martin O'Neill, their attitude is so good. They'll work so hard to try and win all 3 points in this match.
I suppose what Dundee United would say is that they held out for 25 minutes or so last weekend, and then the roof fell in.
Well, I seen the game last weekend, and the first 20 minutes or so was total domination from Celtic, and unfortunately not to get in front. But today Thistle have certainly held their own very well.
Jimmy Buchan won that 50-50 against Henrik Larsson. Now Cragen and Patterson almost overran that, but recovered well. Sometimes it's all about how you recover. Balde pressing on. Larsson, Sutton alongside, and he's overrun that. And again it's Buchan keeping possession with the pass out from midfield, but it's won back by Laursen. But Celtic have been unable to string too many passes together, and that's a tribute to the way John Lambie's team is playing.
They're very well organised, Rob, and the thing for me, they look as if they've got an extra man. They're working so hard, they're making up for maybe the lack of quality they have compared to Celtic with work rate. And you see, as soon as Sutton got the ball there were so many red and yellow jerseys round about with no chance of getting through.
That's a free kick though. Overzealous in his efforts at getting to the ball was Scott Patterson against Henrik Larsson. Free kick already taken. Steve Guppy. Neil Lennon. In towards Chris Sutton, takes a tumble. The challenge was from Steve Cragen. Mike McCurry was close enough to make a judgment there, and he says that was a good, strong, fair challenge.
Well, there was certainly contact, there's no question about that. Whether it was a penalty kick, I'm not sure, but you've got to be really careful when you tackle from the back. He's got his arm up a little bit, but for me I think the referee is right. If he'd given that, it'd have been a very soft award to Celtic.
The angled ball from Lambert to Sutton. That's a great header to get control of it. Gets it back from Guppy. Now McNamara and Larsson. McNamara was giving it his best shot to get on the end of the return, and he forces a corner kick off David Lilly.
Good play from Jackie McNamara. You know, we said without Petrov playing today, Fernandez not playing, it's so important the midfield man goes, the attacking midfield man goes beyond the forwards, and Jackie certainly did that there.
McNamara with the corner kick, Neil Lennon, and now Guppy has time to measure his cross. He didn't measure it right because it was beyond Balde, who hasn't given it up yet. Chris Sutton's header, and away by Alan Archibald. That was terrific play from Balde. His right leg looked almost telescopic there as he stretched it out and wrapped it around the ball.
Good determination from the big fella. The delivery could maybe have been a little bit better, but certainly he showed there's a will to win there.
Guppy on the move, set up by Sutton. Poor ball though, not what Henrik Larsson wanted. And an easy cut out for Scott Patterson. Valgaeren was caught late by Andy Gibson, advantage played. Celtic have it with Guppy. His right foot, Cragen in the way. Flicked clear by Buchan. Valgaeren beats Barnes. Celtic trying to up the tempo. Sutton's cross, flicked away by White. McNamara, and Patterson in the way.
It's a good block. Good block from Scott Patterson there. Jackie McNamara scored such a good goal last week. Confident enough to have a shot, and a little bit unlucky there. But you feel as if Celtic are starting to turn the screw a little bit, putting a little bit more pressure on Thistle.
You get the feeling the next few minutes could be important to this match. Sutton's flick, Patterson away. Confusion there between Mitchell and Burns. Celtic have it with McNamara. Wide for Guppy. Out comes Kenny Arthur, flapped at it. Back it comes from Agathe. There's Sutton. And a good clearance from Martin Hardy. Whipped that one away from the danger area.
Martin Hardy had to get there. Managed to get a toe at the ball, but again, Guppy on the left hand side. Decent delivery again, Kenny Arthur. One hand to it, good decision to punch. Chris Sutton battling for the ball in there, and Paul Lambert just a little bit unlucky. Good clearance.
Chris Sutton was dropped off. Neil Lennon alongside him. And that's a poor pass intended for Agathe, but it allowed in Alan Archibald. Now Martin Hardy. Holding the ball up well for Andy Gibson. Gibson against Valgaeren. Does well. But in the end he just bounced off the Belgian.
I think you'll find that Mike McCurry gets this one right. The young lad trying to take on Valgaeren. Got the break of the ball that time, but really just the physical presence of Valgaeren managing to use his body strength to win the ball, and eventually fell in for the free kick.
Takes a bit of shifting off the ball, Joos Valgaeren, as Andy Gibson has just found out. It's White. Lambert's header. Jamie Mitchell willing the ball to come down. Balde back to Douglas, just 30 seconds away from half an hour played. This will take a lot of plaudits so far, but they might be in trouble here if it weren't for the offside flag against Henrik Larsson. But Thistle will feel they're starting to live a little bit dangerously.
I'll tell you what, that was close for me, Rob. It's a challenge here. Sutton wins the challenge. For me, Henrik Larsson's onside. I think that's the first time that Chris Sutton's managed to win the aerial duel with Scott Patterson.
That's spun up ahead of Valgaeren to Gibson. In from Martin Hardy, but that's poor, and Laursen can let that go through to Rob Douglas. Uses it long to Sutton. Running off with Didier Agathe, and that's a pretty useful reverse pass for Henrik Larsson. Squared for McNamara. It's Lambert, in fact, onto the ball, and what a chance for Paul Lambert to open the scoring.
Good movement from Henrik Larsson to pick up the ball. Great vision, awareness. Picked out the run from Paul Lambert. Paul have been disappointed. You've got to get it on target. It's a decent shot. He's connected with it fairly well. But for me, you've got to hit the target from there. There's a lot of bodies. You've got to make the goalkeeper work. You've got to make him save it.
Let's hear from Chick on what John Lambie's thinking so far.
Well, it's hard to read him, but I think he's very happy with what he's seen so far in the first half hour, Rob. But what he's telling his players is to shorten the game. Too many long balls. Get the ball past the feet. That's what he wants the Thistle players to do, Rob.
Paul Lambert well away from that. Gibson challenging. O'Hara had won it though. Little nudge from Buchan and McNamara. Well played by Cregan.
I think John Lambie's absolutely spot on there, Rob. He's right. They have to play the ball into feet. They have to try and keep the ball up the park to give their defence, especially at this point in the game, a little bit of respite.
Thistle will feel good if they can get this to half-time in a goalless situation. But they'll have some pressure to withstand, I'm sure. And Steve Guppy wins a corner kick. David Lilly doing the backtracking. The last time Lilly played against Celtic, he was with Aberdeen and they lost 7-0. Unhappy memories. In from Jackie McNamara, no challenge on Kenny Arthur this time, and a comfortable take, but not the distribution that John Lambie's looking for out from defence. That's a waste from Kenny Arthur.
It is. He's managed to catch the ball so well from the corner kick, take away all the danger, and for me, just hold on to the ball, get your team up the park, settle down, and try and build it again from the back end instead of trying to get a quick break. The picture for me in the match so far, Rob, is that Thistle have worked so hard to stop the crosses coming into the box, and it's worked well for them. Lilly on one side and Archibald on the other side.
What Thistle want to do though is be a little bit more threatening up in the final third. Apart from that Jamie Mitchell chip which went over, there's been little from them in an attacking sense. One or two flurries from Andy Gibson. And a free kick given against Cregan.
I'm sorry, I can't agree with that one either. I think Mike McCurry's got that wrong. It's two big guys going for the ball again. If anything, I think Sutton was the one that was backing in there. Young Stephen Cregan will feel a bit annoyed at that one.
It's a man's game, isn't it?
It sure is.
Neil Lennon eyes the penalty box. 4 options. One is Balde. And there was some shoving going on there. And Mike McCurry, having given a free kick against Thistle, balances things up by giving them one in their favour.
For me, Mike McCurry's caused himself a bit of a problem, Rob. He's got every kind of physical challenge in the match. He's blown his whistle, he's awarded a free kick. If he would just let them go, unless it's a very obvious one, I think you'd see more flow in the game.
Well, I know it's sunny at Firhill, but that's ridiculous.
Is that Chick Young?
Paul Lambert won the aerial tussle with Martin Hardy. Whipped on by Lennon. Derek White's there. Jamie Buchan, good play. He's having a quiet but a pretty important influence for Thistle in central midfield, Jamie Buchan. And it needs that level of graft from Thistle to counteract the skill and the class that Celtic possess in great abundance. But the Thistle fans were well pleased with their team, Jamie Mitchell among them.
They've got to be very happy so far, especially the scoreline. I'm sure John Lambert will be settled for 0-0. But you know, they're very well organised for me, and they're working so hard. They've got a good fitness level. All those things are important if they're going to try and survive in the SPL.
Cregan's throw, Martin Hardy's there, beaten by Joos Valgaeren. And Jackie McNamara hooks it further downfield. Laursen hurried his clearance. Possession back with Thistle. Trying to apply some pressure themselves before half-time. inside the final 10 minutes of regulation time in the first half. Steve Guppy back doing some defending. Laursen on the end of the long throw. Larsson and Sutton combine, and Paul Lambert has a bit of daylight. Here's a gap with a chance. He's lost it, and now he's got it back. Gives nothing up, Didier Agathe. Just when you think he's beaten and he's lost possession, he's back on the ball again.
It's a great bit of play from Didier Agathe, managing to get there to the ball from Paul Lambert. But for me again, Agathe's got a bit of space, and look at the Partick Thistle strips round about him. You end up with 4 red and yellow strips, making sure there's no way Didier Agathe's going to get a bit of space here. That is typical of the way Thistle are playing today.
Lennon getting some jeers which seem completely out of place with the sort of bravery he's shown this week.
Again, Celtic going forward down the right hand side this time, and Didier Agathe, the final ball again, not quite the quality that we normally expect from Celtic.
That was Balde, and Lennon nods it down for Lambert. Lovely pass, perfectly paced for Henrik Larsson. McNamara in support, and Steve Guppy's not that tall.
A little bit heavy with the pass, Paul Lambert, a bit disappointed in that one. Jackie McNamara, I think it was, sorry. Just the final ball from Celtic's point of view. The ball up's reasonable, they're getting into decent areas, but the telling pass that makes a difference is still to come from them.
But here's where Thistle have to be even more watchful than they've been so far. The closing stages of the first half, how often have we seen Celtic strike towards the tail end of either half? Guppy's cross, and there's Henrik Larsson! Brilliant save by Kenny Arthur to deny Larsson his 5th goal of the season.
Great play again, working the ball down the left hand side. Steve Guppy, magnificent ball. Larsson getting across the defender is so important that he gets there, and Kenny Arthur forced into a brilliant save.
Dianbobo Balde, he's been watching Lorenzo Amoruso, hasn't he?
It's a disappointing shot from Bobo Balde. That earlier one, that's the first time we've seen a real delivery from Celtic. And Henrik Larsson, great striking play, getting across the defender, and Kenny Arthur doing what he's been very good at today, very composed.
I was just talking there, Sandy, about how this is such an important stage for Thistle. They've done so well for so long in the first period, but they can't switch off at this stage.
They've got to, it's so important. If they can get to 0-0 at half time, they'll be halfway to getting a really good result. And it's so, as you say, concentration is of utmost important at the moment.
Partick Thistle fans there were shouting there are only 2 Amorusos greeting Bobo Balde's effort at goal, so I think they agreed with us that that was pretty optimistic from about 50 yards range. Not that it bothers Big Bobo.
No, and I'm not going to argue with him.
I think we'll say fine effort afterwards when we see him.
Very unlucky.
Here comes Lambert and Larsson. The deflection might work for McNamara. Scott Patterson let that bounce before clearing. Back it comes with interest from Balde. Patterson there, and Buchan. Now Neil Lennon. Lofted forward for Chris Sutton. Well, the first touch was useful. The second less so.
Chris will be disappointed with that one. It's a good run, it's a good ball down the channel, inside right channel for him. Good first touch, but his second touch was poor to say the least. Neil Lennon playing the pass, definitely onside, where the defender is. That's a decent touch. I think his right foot's a stronger one.
"40 minutes have come and gone at Firhill, and the home team taking an awful lot of credit. 0-0 in their first game back in the big time, 1-1 the second. 2-2 last weekend. It's not looking like 3-all, but they're holding their own here so far. I stress so far. Didier Agathe with the cutback, and that's again well read by Scott Patterson, although there's where he lets himself down by being a bit too casual. He'd done the difficult bit. Lambert plays the 1-2. Larsson! It's the wrong side of the post for Henrik Larsson. What a chance.
Good play again from Celtic, working so hard down this side. Paul Lambert, a good ball in, great return from Jackie McNamara. I think it was actually for Paul Lambert again to play the 1-2, but Henrik Larsson picked it up, tried to slip it under the goalkeeper, and unfortunately for him, just the wrong side of the post.
4 goals in 4 games for him so far, 2 against Dunfermline, 1 against Basel, and 1 against Dundee United last weekend. He'll think it should have been 5, and it should have been 162 Celtic goals. That's phenomenal strike rate. Archibald probing down the touchline. Balde delayed his clearance. Gibson has it. Martin Hardy fancied himself to curl it into the top corner.
Thistle actually worked very hard to get the ball back here, and Alec Burns playing a sensible layoff to Hardy. You can see what he was trying to do. Well, I believe he was trying to curl it into the top corner, but didn't quite get the technique right. John Lambert won't be too happy with that one.
Well, if he's happy with the first half, he doesn't look it.
He never does he?
The smiles can come later, that's his message. If Thistle can pull off a shock result here.
I think, Rob, the Thistle front three deserve a lot of credit today. There's a lot of balls just knocked aimlessly forward from Thistle. And the one thing about Burns, Gibson and Mitchell, they're chasing lost causes. They're not letting Celtic settle at the back end to build up the play.
It's been a big feature, hasn't it? They're chasing absolutely everything. And that's the way they have to play to counter the sort of armoury Celtic have. Balde flung himself at that big style, and it's a Celtic free kick.
A strange one again for me. If anything, I thought Bobo Balde was rash with the challenge there, but Mike McCurry obviously seen something that we didn't see. Again,
2 minutes will be added, and we've played getting on for 44. Larsson using that strength we know he has to hold off Stephen Craigan. Long ball from Balde, beyond Larsson. Derek White wanting Kenny Arthur to come for it. The goalkeeper stopped and White had to play it. That's given away by Archibald. That's the problem for John Lambert. That's what he's unhappy with. Use of the ball at times. You don't want to give possession away so cheaply against opposition of this quality. Barnes looking for Mitchell. Balde intercepted. And Lennon fumbles the ball over the touchline.
He's not allowed to settle. Alec Burns was round about his feet that time, making life really difficult for him. He had no option but to just play the ball away with facing, and that was out the park.
Craigan to Mitchell. Support from Lilly. Now Jamie Buchan, muscled out of it by the combination of Lambert and McNamara. Safety first from Craigan. Back to Arthur. And they're showing a lot of composure here, Partick Thistle. And more experienced teams in this Premier League than them have failed to show that.
You're right, Rob. I think the composure comes from confidence. They've managed to match Celtic in most areas today. Kenny Arthur's done his job when necessary at the back end. I'm sure John Lambert would be much happier if Brad Douglas was a little bit more busy.
And that's the biggest cheer of the first half so far, which greets Mike McCurry giving a free kick against Chris Sutton. The Thistle fans sending out their own special message to the referee. A minute added already to the 45, 1 to go. Andy Gibson against Joos Valgaeren. If you look at the two of them together, you'd say it's no fair.
You stole my play, please.
And you wouldn't go and try and get it back either. Here's Gibson and Archibald. Now it's backtracking time for Thistle. And a free kick given against Martin Hardy for that challenge on Paul Lambert. Not an awful lot in it, but he was late. The last seconds of the first half. Can Celtic break the deadlock? McNamara having a look at what's on. His shot deflected off Henrik Larsson. And that's surely Celtic's last chance of scoring.
I think Jackie's picked the wrong option there. He had the chance earlier to play the ball away to Steve Guppy. Then he could have got the ball into the box for 2 or 3 to attack it. He tried a hopeful shot, but that time Henrik Larsson, I think, the backside and safe out for the goal kick.
Half-time at Firhill and a big roar from the home support because Thistle have held Celtic so far. Kenny Arthur with a great stop from Henrik Larsson. Let's hear from the Thistle assistant manager Jerry Collins.
Jerry, terrific first half from the Jags, but knowing you and John as I do, I heard you say too many long balls. You want to shot again?
Yeah, we've given the ball away too much, Shaq. We feel that when we get possession, we give it back away. We give it away too easy. I know what we want to do. We want to pass our way out the game. Hence the reason we went 3 up. We feel we've done well in certain areas, but we just need to crispen up our passing.
But you know well enough that Celtic will come back at you in the second half. A long way to go in this.
Long way to go, but I tell you what, we'll settle for this for now. We've done well. We've achieved nothing yet. We've done well. We've a long way to go, but hope we'll come back the second half and do better.
Well done, Jerry. Thanks a lot.
Well, the Thistle supporters would certainly have settled for that first half showing from their team. Lots of fire, lots of passion, and they've managed to deny Celtic when the champions threatened. Henrik Larsson has been involved in the Celtic chances. That's all you expect from him. That one dragged wide, and this header producing an instinctive stop from Kenny Arthur. So 0-0 at half-time, but Thistle with a lot to cope with. They know that after the interval.
Yes, interesting first 45 minutes. There was a widely held school of thought that Celtic would cruise to a fairly comfortable win this afternoon against the Premier League newcomers, but it's not working that way, Murdo.
Well, Thistle's made it very hard for them. The first half hour I thought Thistle held their own. Celtic never had any fluency at all about their play, never created any chances. It was only the last 15 minutes of the first half that Celtic came through a wee bit, and it was 2 or 3 chances then.
Yeah, they're working very hard, they really are. They've set themselves out to have a go at Celtic when the chance is there, but every single player is putting in a good shift here, isn't they?
Well, we've watched so many teams sit back against Celtic and allow Celtic to get the ball at the back and build up from there. But Thistle, the front three, Burns, Mitchell and Gibson, are working so hard. The back three can't get on the ball at all, and it's really, and they're pulling the whole side up the park, and they're making it difficult for Celtic, and there have not been any chances either for the first half hour.
Yeah, so an impressive start by Partick Thistle, but it's goalless at half-time, and we'll have a more detailed look at some of those first half highlights in a few moments. But it's, before then, let's look ahead to the rest of this weekend's Scottish football card in the company of Dougie Vipond.
Jim Duffy failed to sign Gaza this week, but did secure Steve Lovell from Portsmouth, and he's likely to feature in the squad to face Hibs this afternoon. Bad news for Bobby Williamson. Freddie Arpignon is definitely out, but despite some bad luck, the Hibs boss knows he needs to kick-start his season soon.
Sometimes things go against you. In the last 3 games we've had a player substitute before half-time. Influential midfield players have been great for us. Grant Brennan, Freddie Arpignon and Johnny Neal have been substituted in the last few weeks. Freddie and John have been more serious than Grant, so Grant's still available for selection, but it's difficult when you've got to rejig your team before half-time, and as I said, we've just got to hope that everybody can stay clear of injury before half-time.
Antti Niemi confirmed he'll be a Saint by next week. Craig Levine knows that the Flying Finn will be a much-missed asset.
The market England to England is always bigger than it is from Scotland to England, and I think this transfer is one of the bigger ones recently, and I think it's a good bit of business, bearing in mind
Ante, when he signed his new contract with us at the end of last season, did state that, you know, if the opportunity arose, he would love to play in the Premiership.
Stevie Crawford has started this season on fire with 4 goals in only 3 starts. Bet your house on him being in the first 11 today. Alex Smith finally secured the signature of Chelsea defender Warren Cummings yesterday. The under-21 international will make his debut against Motherwell. Stephen Hamill missed the under-21 match against Denmark on Tuesday through injury, but the ever-present well defender should be back in the squad tomorrow. Barry Wilson won't feature for the visit of Killie, but manager Jim Leishman is looking forward to another exciting BBC Live match.
Jim Jeffries has good players, you know, and he'll come. I don't think they'll defend, that's for sure. They'll come in attacking game, and we're a offensive team, offensive-minded team. We like to get in and score goals. So it's on the cards. There'll be goals scored, that's for sure.
Freddie Dindaloo is doubtful, and there are suspension worries aplenty for Jim Jeffries, but that leaves space for Jose Katongo to feature in the starting lineup.
Jose's just come in a short-term comment. He's got a wee bit of fitness to find, but I've said the reason I took him to the end of the year was that he's a type of player who can, you know, come on and change a game 20-25 minutes. So with the injuries and if the injured players are not recovered, then the suspension is not. So he's got a chance of figuring in the squad maybe better than he would have last week.
Lorenzo Amoruso is out for a fortnight, but despite getting a knock in the Scotland game midweek, skipper Barry Ferguson should be fine.
He didn't train today, he didn't train yesterday. He took a bit of a jolt and he's a little bit stiff, and we're actually very glad of the extra day's rest this week. And we may have been touch and go for him tomorrow, but we believe he'll be okay for Sunday.
Eb Skovdal has injury problems galore, but Phil Maguire could be on the recovered list. The boss knows though that this match is going to be a tough one.
They got quality on every place in their team, so you've got to be, first of all, very, very good organised defensively to keep them away, because otherwise the game is already lost. And then on the break you need to be very, very quick up around their box.
It's bottom versus top at Recreation Park. Terry Christie's men have only 1 point from a possible 9. The Bairns though will be looking to keep their maximum run going. Promoted side Brechin face Queen's Park in the semi-final of the Challenge Cup on Tuesday, but they'll need to focus on facing Forfar today. It's the battle of the bottom clubs in the third when Stirling Albion take on East Stirlingshire. Leaders Albion Rovers are away to newcomers Gretna.
So a full card in the Bells Leagues, but only 3 Bank of Scotland Premier League matches going ahead this afternoon. Let's just have a quick look at those with Murdo. That Dundee Hibs game, both sides not having started the season the way they would have wanted, looking for their first win. Hibs especially, because they've had a hard time, haven't they?
They've been under a lot of pressure, losing an awful lot of goals, and you think going to Dens Park it's going to be tough, but both managers will feel a wee bit of pressure just now because the things aren't going for them. But I'm sure they'll take a point each just now. But you've got to say there's an awful lot of flair players on either side, and we're hoping for a good match this afternoon.
Absolutely. Hearts Dunfermline's interests me because Dunfermline have started the season so well, and they go to a place where they've never done well in the last few seasons. They've always struggled at Tynecastle.
Well, this is a chance for them to go and make their mark in the season. Places that you normally don't play well at, if you can go there and get something. But after last week's performance, they must get in very buoyant. It was a great performance against Dundee. Stevie Crawford getting 3 goals, but Hearts to their credit as well. They've had a good start to the season. You know, the Edinburgh Derby match, 5-1 there, De Vries scoring goals as well. So I think that'll be a good tussle.
It will be indeed, and of course 3 matches to come tomorrow. We'll get a chance to talk about those a little bit later on in the programme, but let's turn our attention back to our live match this afternoon. Partick Thistle 0, Celtic 0 at halfway. Not perhaps the 45 minutes which many people expected. Partick Thistle last week, interestingly, played it very much route one, kept it simple, launched long balls, Murdo, but today they've played some nice football.
A big difference this week, they're getting the ball down, but just look at the skill here of Larsson. He's dragged his right foot over the top of the ball, and then left foot, sets the ball up. But again, good defending. Partick have worked so hard at the back. Here's one instance we spoke about just at the time, but the goalkeeper's come out there, he's let the ball go through him, but he's taken out the striker there, look.
Jamie Mitchell, yeah.
No, Jamie would maybe think there's a cause for a penalty, but Thistle, they get forward occasionally. Again, Jamie Mitchell trying to chip it over Robert Douglas there, but just too much volley. just too strong as well.
Perhaps thinking that Thistle might not get too many chances. Jamie Mitchell's a skillful player, and you don't blame him for taking this one on, but always too high, wasn't it?
Yeah, but again, Agathe first time back this season. A wee bit unfortunate here, because Alan Archibald drove her very quick there. But it's very difficult for a referee to give a penalty kick for that. Agathe just setting himself up there. Archibald, he's jumping, he's just trying to block it with his back, and it's came down and hit his arm and down. The build up. Larsson, for me, Larsson's been the best player in the park this afternoon.
There's a full Lambert shot, which he really just pulled wide, didn't he?
They just wanted to come across another couple of inches. If you look at it here, Paul's hitting the ball there, hitting the ball too early. But again, he was getting closed down there. Good defending.
This is Steve Guppy cross, and perhaps the best save of the first half coming up, I think.
Well, this is a
Thistle commitment, isn't it?
This is a commitment of the Thistle defenders. Look, you get 4 defenders there getting to Didier Agathe. They all know the problem he's going to cause. But look, there's one in there on his backside. There's another one in challenge. And there's a third coming across as well. No, good, really good defending.
An example of just how hard they're working. This is the one we were talking about. Good build-up again by Celtic.
Guppy, great cross of the ball. Again, Larsson getting across the front of the defenders. And Kenny Arthur, just an instinctive save, putting his hand up. But look at Guppy's cross here. He's got no room. He's even got the wrong side of the defender there, but managed to curl the ball round.
And Larsson again, just as the first half drew to a close.
Lambert fancied his chances there. I think he's playing the 1-2, and Larsson just popped up. The only way by the goalkeeper was the right hand side. There's the two of them away. The goalkeeper, Kenny Arthur, put him under enough pressure. He knocked it wide.
So goalless it is, and live coverage of the second half to come. But let's hear from Tommy Boyd and his thoughts of that first half at Firhill. He's with Chick.
Tommy, what have you got of the first half?
Yeah, I thought Partick Thistle showing a lot of enthusiasm, you know, which we normally expect when you come here. But I thought the class was telling on some occasions, and I think I've been very unfortunate in front of goal. We've had some good chances, but not to be at the moment.
I guess you would always expect that team who'd been promoted would be up for it. A real battling spirit with this, wasn't there?
Yeah, you know, it's the start of the season. They've had 3 good results. But the class, you know, maybe they consider themselves a little bit unfortunate not to have had more points at this time. But no, they've been, you know, what you expected when we came here, you know, full of enthusiasm, working for each other. But I think the class just in the end sort of telling in terms of the chances that we have created. The better chances are falling to us.
I was looking at the Celtic bench, and yourself and Stan Petrov and Bobby Pett and the rest up in the stand there, and the side they've got out. I just suddenly realised how much depth Celtic have got in this squad.
Yeah, that's what the manager's been trying to get a hold of, and you know, whether he's going to strengthen that further, we don't know. But yeah, that's certainly what he's wanted. He has a lot of quality. He's just sitting up the stands here alongside myself, so it's what he needs, and it's what you need to progress and to manage to be able to give players rest, hopefully throughout the season, and that's certainly what he wants.
On a personal level, Tommy, you get fed up sitting at the stand, yeah?
Everybody does, don't they? Yeah, but as long as the team's winning, that's the most important thing. You just keep yourself fit and ready, and hopefully you'll get used at some stage.
You don't have regrets of extending your contract?
Oh, no, not at all. No, not staying with Celtic. Absolutely no chance.
Thanks, Tommy. All the best.
Yes, thanks.
Yes, even Tom Boyd considering that maybe Thistle have earned most of the plaudits in the first half. They've done well, but it's only halfway, and there's always a feeling that in the end Celtic's class will tell, isn't there?
Well, it's happened so often in the past that playing at any side of the Old Firm, you can be doing well in the game, nothing each, and then all of a sudden they get the goal and the heads go down and they end up losing 3 or 4. But I think Thistle, John will be fairly happy, but I think he'll be angry that the back players hitting far too many long balls, because when you play them up there, I mean, you've only got Burns and Mitchell and Gibson up front, you want everything to feet.
Sure.
So he'll be wanting everything up to feet, and I think that'll be a difference for Thistle. If they can hold it up, the midfield can support them, maybe create some chances.
Yeah, just one other thought that occurs to me, Murdo. I mean, there were those that said, well, Thistle obviously will be among the favourites, if you like, for relegation this year. There'll be other Premier League managers looking at this and saying, Thistle can play, they're a decent side, and let's not take it for granted that they'll be struggling at the foot all season.
Well, I think if you've got John and Jerry in charge, one thing they do is work hard, and I think if they work hard throughout the season and battle for everything, they'll get their rewards. I think it's the sides that think they don't need to play well and don't need to fight, they're the sides that will struggle, but Thistle with that attitude can hold their own in the Premier League.
So there we are, it's 0-0 at half-time. We're going back live for the second half of Partick Thistle against Celtic. Don't forget you could win yourself a DVD player or a signed shirt by the Premier League player of your choice. All you have to do is predict Sandy Clark's choice as man of the match, 0900 10 225, or text us on 07736 600, 600. A few candidates have perhaps emerged already. No doubt a few more will in the course of the second 45 minutes. Let's head back to Firhill then, to Sandy and to Rob.
And a warm welcome back onto the pitch for the Thistle team in the August sunshine. And John Lambert said pre-match that he was guaranteeing that what his team would do would be give this a right good go, as Lambert put it in his programme notes. And his players have done him proud in that regard. And what John Lambert and Jerry Collins will have been reinstilling in the minds of the players at half-time is that this is only half finished, and they're going to have to play as well in the second half, if not even better.
That's right, Rob. I think John Lambert's team talk at half-time would be very simple. It'd be same again. Keep working as hard as you're doing, keep your shape, be organised and concentrate. And with a bit of luck, we'll manage to get through this game without losing a goal. Martin O'Neill, on the other hand, will be saying to his players, we have to keep working hard, and we have to maybe make sure the final ball into the box, especially from wide area, is going to have that a little bit more quality about it.
Partick Thistle against Celtic on BBC Scotland, 0-0, halfway through. And Thistle on their return to the top league in Scottish football, showing a lot of promise here and a bit of confidence and composure about them. If you don't have composure, especially in defence against the likes of Sutton and Larsson, then you can be torn to pieces. Other sides would back up that view. 4-0 against Aberdeen, 5-0 against Dundee United, Celtic's last two Premier League outings. 9 points out of 9 so far for the champions. And Chris Sutton's flick fails to pick out his strike partner Henrik Larsson.
I think, Rob, the next 10 minutes of this game is going to be vital to Thistle. If they can hold out and make sure that Celtic don't go in front, then I'm sure they'll start to build on it again, similar to the first half.
That's Derek White, who has a calming influence on those around him. Larsson the target, fouled by White.
I think that was good experience from Derek White. Henrik Larsson actually managed to turn him there, and Derek just stood his ground, used his body to make sure there was no danger.
Paul Lambert trying to probe at the Thistle defence. Jimmy Buchan clears. And Neil Lennon chips it back to the so far untroubled Rob Douglas for all of Thistle's top performance so far. They haven't tested out the Scotland goalkeeper so far. The one effort and goal so far from Jamie Mitchell was too high.
I think it's also important, Rob, when Douglas gets on the ball, he's got to make sure Celtic build it properly. That one there was a 50-50 ball down the middle, giving Chris Sutton not a lot of chance to win it and do anything with it.
Well won by Paul Lambert. Neil Lennon takes it on. Jackie McNamara up ahead. Back goes Buchan to intercept. He's done an awful lot of it.
Jamie Buchan's played well today, Rob. He's the steady Eddie in the team, isn't he? He works round about the middle park area. He gets in the road. He makes sure he matches runs back the way, and it's so important that you get a nice steady influence from people like him.
His old man Martin Buchan, the former Aberdeen and Manchester United sweeper, would be pretty proud of the way Jamie's playing so far. He thought about quitting football, so disillusioned had he become, having been released by Dundee United, but Thistle snapped him up, and so far doing a good job here.
I think it's typically John Lambert. He signs so many good players who do the job that he's asking of them. It's a sign of a good manager.
Chris Sutton's flick, and Henrik Larsson couldn't get on the end of it and is writhing about on the ground in a fair bit of discomfort.
Good flick from Chris Sutton this time. Henrik Larsson, as always, tries to get onto it. He ended up the sandwich between the two Thistle players there, Cragen and Patterson.
I think he was caught by the flailing arms of Scott Patterson there, maybe an elbow in the face accidentally for Larsson.
I don't think you can blame Patterson for that one. He's only going for the ball, and again, good defending from Thistle. You see the numbers round about the Celtic players again. They're trying not to get exposed in a 1v1 situation, because Larsson and Sutton, Larsson especially, are so good at that. Thistle have certainly got numbers about the park.
Although unfortunately for Henrik Larsson, there's no difference between an accidental or a deliberate elbow. They both tend to hurt.
It's every bit as painful. I'm sure Henrik will be back on sooner rather than later.
Thistle would happily give him a rest at this point, but sadly for them, he's going to return.
I think maybe you get John Hartson sitting on the bench as well, and I don't think there'd be much respite if Larsson went off and Hartson had to come on.
Yeah, David Fernandez on the bench as well, so Celtic with plenty in reserve, and you wonder whether a little bit of Fernandez is what Celtic need.
I think you're right there, Robert. A little bit of guile, somebody to maybe stand in the ball, lift their head and play the telling pass. And Fernandez is perfect for that situation.
Been impressive pre-season for Celtic, but hasn't seen too much action since the real stuff began. But he really adds to the depth Celtic have and the options for Martin O'Neill, as does Ulrik Laursen, the other summer signing. Long ball for Henrik Larsson. His flick, and Chris Sutton's in, and he's knocked it too far. Another golden opportunity for Celtic goes a-begging.
That's a chance. That should have been an opening goal for Celtic. Henrik Larsson this time so good in the air, natural leap, great header. Sutton staying onside, and his first touch is poor. He'll be really disappointed when he looks at that one. The timing of the run's excellent. He's managed to get himself a real yard or two of space and really not causing the goalkeeper any problems whatsoever.
He's scored in each of his last 3 games, Chris Sutton, and he must have thought there he was in for number 4. And Kenny Arthur was a relieved goalkeeper as Sutton ran the ball round him, but also over the goal line.
I think maybe Chris didn't make his mind up there, Rob. He couldn't decide whether to hit it first time or take it around the goalkeeper, and ended up with a poor first touch.
High boots from Joos Valgaeren goes unpunished, and Alec Burns still looking a little bit dazed. He smelt leather and it was Joos Valgaeren's boot.
He certainly took that one full on, no question about that. For me it's a surprise that it's not a free kick for dangerous play.
Given away by Paul Lambert.
I think that's the bit John Lambert's talking about. Andy Gibson worked back so well to win the ball from Lambert, and really should have picked out Alec Burns with the pass instead of making it a 50-50 again. That's where Thistle have to hold on to the ball.
The consequence is back come Celtic downfield again, and Thistle have to begin again. But Kenny Arthur still unbeaten, and that's a statistic that the home support here would love to think lasts until full time. Celtic will push and press, there's no doubt about that, and Rangers will hope that Thistle can do them a little favour here.
I think Thistle will be trying to do themselves a favour, Rob. They won't be too concerned with Rangers or anyone else.
Again it's Jimmy Buchan closing down Henrik Larsson, won it once, won it twice. Gibson puts his foot on the ball. Archibald drives it downfield for Alec Burns. A lot of wrestling going on with Joos Valgaeren. The Celtic defender takes a bit of beating.
Good pace from Valgaeren there.
Again it's good defending, the combination of Cragen and Patterson keeping out McNamara. Jamie Mitchell. That was a useful pass, and it might spark something for Thistle. Here comes Gibson, and wins a corner kick. That's better from the Jags.
Better passing going forward from Thistle. Andy Gibson picking up the ball again, trying to take Bobo Balde for pace. Good defending from Big Bobo, managed to stay on his feet, held his ground and cleared the ball for the corner kick. But I'm sure John Lambert will be happy with that movement.
Derek White into the 6-yard box, Martin Hardy right in front of Rab Douglas. Alec Burns takes a short corner, and there were immediate gasps of disappointment from the Thistle fans that Burns didn't fire that in first time.
I'm sure there's frustration from the Thistle fans. You can, to a certain extent, understand why they don't play the high ball in the middle when you look at the height of the Celtic defenders. But if you don't get the ball in the box, you won't score.
Martin Hardy's lost it at the edge of the area. Lambert licks with Larsson, and now Laursen. Steve Guppy, and Paul Lambert as ever, full of energy, full of running, offering options when he's off the ball. Here he is again. Now Jackie McNamara, closed down quickly by Thistle, who keep up their work rate. Guppy into the feet of Chris Sutton, stumbled and slipped and fell against the challenge of Steve Cragen. Again, the delivery to the strikers not good enough from Thistle, and they're creating problems for themselves here.
You're right, Rob. If the quality of the ball forward was a little bit better, I'm sure they would be able to cause Celtic more problems going forward, and again let their defenders get that little bit of rest that they sometimes need.
Larsson. Cragen waited for his moment and then pounced with the challenge, but Neil Lennon wins it back against Hardy. Wins so much ball, Lennon. Now with Lambert, looking to play a 1-2. Jamie Buchan saw it coming, and now tries to start something for Thistle. That's good from Buchan, taking his time, making sure that Thistle keep the ball. Upfield, Alec Burns is grounded.
I think that was a collision with Bobo Balde and Alec Burns, purely accidental. But again, we see the strength in Bobo Balde there. He's the one that's come off the winner.
He's had a bad little spell because he was too close to Joos Valgaeren's boot a few minutes ago, and now I think it's in the background there. You see the arm up from Balde, and it caught Alec Burns as he tried to get in behind.
Yes, I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. He put his hand out, but you know, when you look at where Bobo's looking, he's not looking at Burns.
Unless he's got wind mirrors, he couldn't see him coming there.
So I would give Big Bobo the benefit of the doubt there. And there's no real protest from the Thistle players or from the supporters. So
what strikes me, Sandy, about the lack of quality about Thistle's passing from midfield to up front is that they're tiring themselves out apart from anything else. They're going to do more running.
They're making it 50-50 passes when it goes forward, rather than make sure it's a safe pass into safe possession. I think when you've seen Jamie Buchan, the way he managed to drive forward, held on to the ball, made a pass to the supporting player, that was much better from Thistle.
What John Lambie is saying is shorter, sharper, earlier with the passing. That's the message he's screaming out from the technical area, and if his team can start doing a bit of that, then in other facets of the game they've been well up to this. Balde powering his way through, finally halted. Valgaeren that time. Sutton knocks it down for Lambert. Didier Agathe finds himself a little bit of room. And Sutton, another chance. Is it going to be one of those afternoons for Celtic? Another glorious chance to make it 1-0.
It's good play from Celtic, working the ball down the right hand side, and Didier Agathe managed to lift his head. Probably for the first time found a Celtic player. Chris Sutton again, 2 yards of space, and again you've got to hit the target. He'll be so disappointed. He's got time, he's got the technique right, but you've got to make the goalkeeper work. He's got to make a save.
And alarming for Thistle there, as they look back at some relief on that, was the space that Sutton had. He wasn't picked up as he came in with a late run. He might well have fired that Agathe cross into the back of Kenny Arthur's net.
It should have been, there's no question. Celtic through Chris Sutton missed 2 glorious chances in the second half. Could they live to regret it?
If Thistle need any encouragement, they've got it so far in their own performance and in the fact that Celtic have spurned quite a few chances. Joos Valgaeren. 8,033 the crowd at Firhill. Lovely ball from Steve Guppy to the overlapping Laursen. The ball into the box wasn't right though. And that's David Lilly, who gets a fair bit of length on that clearance.
Is that a shot on target?
Check with the statsman afterwards. That's what Thistle are doing so well. They're showing a lot of passion.
You've got to give them lots of credit for their work rate today. As soon as they lose the ball, they get everybody apart from maybe one of the strikers behind it, and it's so difficult to break that down. But Celtic really, they've created one or two chances, and they really should be in front on clear-cut chances.
Archibald to Burns, good ball and good control. Now he needs support. But he has won the throw off Valgaeren. You can vote for man of the match anytime you like on 0900 10 225. You can text us on 07736 600 600. You could win a DVD player if your idea of man of the match tallies with Sandy's, and he'll be letting you know all you need to know a few minutes from the end. Sometimes a few minutes from the end isn't late enough, but it's called the Mark de Vries moment. It's recovered well though. Laid off by Larsson for Lambert. Didier Agathe. Out comes Kenny Arthur. Chose to stay on his line in the end. Now Guppy. There's Henrik Larsson. And it was an awkward one for Paul Lambert. They wouldn't come down for him, and the half volley always looked to be heading too high.
Good play from Stephen Guppy, trying to work the ball up his better left foot, eventually being forced onto his right. It's a really intelligent header from Henrik Larsson, and the ball just would come down, didn't fall properly for Paul Lambert, giving him any chance at all to make contact and properly and hit the target. That's the sign of Larsson. That's a marvellous header. He knows he can't get enough purchase on it to score, and ends up creating the chance for Lambert.
Such a great all-round player, Henrik Larsson. His goal-scoring record grabs the headlines, but he's a team man, no doubt about that. And how many assists has he been responsible for in his time in Scottish football? Strong play from Agathe, and Lambert flicks it on to Ulrik Laursen. Guppy. Play from Guppy, but good covering as well from David Lilly.
Again, it's double up down the left-hand side from Thistle, working so hard as always. I wonder how long Robert will be before we see maybe John Hartson or David Fernandez on.
Get chipped asked Martin. Bobo Balde stopped by Thistle, takes some doing, and it's at the expense of a free kick.
Yep, using his strength again there, showing a little bit of pace. It's Archibald that managed to take him out of the game. It's been a good game from the tackling point of view, nothing nasty at all. Both sets of players trying to give everything they've got without being nasty.
Celtic push Balde forward to the edge of the box, Valgaeren as well, and Laursen at the back post. Driven in by Guppy. Thistle defended it well, but they've got some more defending to do. Sutton flicks it on. Away by Lilly, but only as far as Lambert. Larsson slips, nothing more sinister. For live football tomorrow afternoon, it's Livingston against Kilmarnock live from 2:25, and that programme also features highlights of Rangers against Aberdeen at Ibrox. All the Bank of Scotland Premier League football you could want is on BBC Scotland. Still 0-0 at Firhill, which rhymes, with nearly 18 minutes gone of the second half. Let's hope it's not Firhill for nils this afternoon, because we have been averaging 6 a game in these live matches.
It's early yet, Rolf, it's early yet.
McNamara, Sutton loses out to Scott Patterson, and that's a good pass this time to Jamie Mitchell, and quickly shifted wide to Andy Gibson. Mitchell again, good challenge though by Valgaeren, and again two top class examples of defending there from the Belgian international.
They've had to be on their toes, Rob, Valgaeren and Bobo Balde and Laursen. You know, the Thistle forwards have worked so hard that they've had to be on their toes and make sure they watch the ball and get the tackles in.
Hardy off Lambert, Another Thistle throw. Thistle should be encouraged by that little passing manoeuvre, which showed them exactly what they can achieve. Balde towering over his opponent there, and Andy Gibson diving in. The word is that John Hartson will be introduced as soon as Celtic can get him on the pitch. Hasn't featured an awful lot in the top team this season, but he came on as a sub last weekend and scored his first goal of the season against Dundee United, and a big reception as he comes off for Neil Lennon, who showed all sorts of courage this week. Hartson for Lennon as Celtic go for the win. But it's Thistle on the attack with Burns against Laursen, looking for support. Alec Burns. It comes from Archibald. Out comes Douglas, and a good take. Now Thistle have to backtrack as Steve Guppy sprints downfield. And Guppy will be disappointed with his cross because he is an excellent crosser of the ball.
It's unusual for Steve Guppy to have a poor cross like that. The quality coming in from the left-hand side is normally first class. But the interesting substitution from Celtic, John Hartson's going to obviously play up front beside Larsson. Martin O'Neill's obviously having to work hard today, having to think things about and see the best way of trying to break down this Thistle defence, and I think it's a compliment to them that he's now got 3 top-class strikers on that part to try and get a goal.
And certainly when he's done this before with all 3 on the pitch, it is Chris Sutton that tends to play off with Larsson and Hartson further forward. Here comes Sutton, immediately trying to make an impact with the new 3-prong strike force, but the whistle goes for a free kick.
Again, it's the referee spot on. Good covering by Jamie Buchan again, doing exceptionally well to work into that space. Good tracking back from the midfield player, helping out his back players, and that's first class defending.
I'm not suggesting man of the match, obviously, because it's not my job, but unsung hero, Jamie Buchan would certainly get that one so far. He's done really well.
There's a few contenders in the Thistle team, I'll tell you that, Rob, so far. The 3 centre-backs have all been immense, and the goalkeepers played well. It's going to be a big decision.
I'm glad it's yours. They're having a good spell, Thistle, and they want to prolong it. We're just about at the midway point of the second half.
Jackie McNamara, I think, took a knock there. Quite a painful one.
What about Jackie McNamara for Scotland?
Well, Rob, we've seen the game, we covered the game Wednesday night, and there were so many frailties about the team that you've got to wonder why Jackie wasn't involved. He certainly couldn't have been any worse.
The Thistle fans in good voice. They're lapping this up so far. They wouldn't have come here with great expectations, and their team has done them proud so far. And you don't want to switch off for a second against Celtic. You've got to go right to the final whistle if you want to get anything out of a meeting with Celtic. But they're being frustrated at the moment, and just occasionally signs of frustration creep in like that.
Yeah, it's because Thistle are working so hard. I think it's really important that John Lambert gets the message on to his players to concentrate. When you get tired, which you will do late in the game, that's when it's so important you stay switched on. And so far in the game you couldn't deny Thistle a point, that's for certain.
Free kick against the challenge on Jamie Mitchell, and it was taken too quickly.
Jamie Buchan's quite fortunate there, Rob. He took the free kick far too early, a poor ball. The ball was actually moving, so Mike McCurry certainly did him a favour. I'm sure John Lambert would have been giving him a little bit of stick for trying to kick on as quickly as that. Settle down and try and pass the ball.
Thistle poised to make a change. I think it's going to be Paul Walker coming on, possibly for Andy Gibson. Martin Hardy, good turn, good cross, good chance. It was Jamie Mitchell who made the late run but couldn't keep his header down.
Could have been, saying it wasn't far away. You look at the big defenders, but that's a really good delivery into the box. They sneaked in between the two big lads, Jamie Mitchell, and just unfortunately couldn't get over and above the ball to get it on target. 2 inches taller, he might have caused Rab Douglas a few problems.
I was going to say, Sandy, that Jamie Mitchell seems to be playing a bit deeper now as part of almost a midfield four, having played much further forward, but obviously he does that well because he makes these late runs into the box and he is a goal threat.
It's so hard to defend, Rob, when you come late in the box.
Foul on Burns by Lambert. Let's hear from Chick.
Yeah, there's been a powwow between John Lambie and Jerry Collins, who decided to introduce Paul Walker, take off Andy Gibson. That's a reaction to the Celtic substitution. They're going to reshuffle the middle of the park, Rob.
Meantime, free kick. In from Steve Cragan. No challenge on Bobo Balde as he powered the ball away. That's Sutton. And the substitute, John Hartson, has lost possession. Lambert wins it back. Lovely touch from Henrik Larsson, turning away from Derek White. McNamara sprinting through the middle, but Larsson delayed too long. Scott Patterson won it, and Jamie Buchan takes the ball away.
A great play again from Jamie Buchan, walking back and managing to win the ball.
Now Thistle of numbers forward. David Lilly joins the attack, 3 in the middle. It's Alec Burns. Lilly again. And that's poor, deflected away by Larsson. But still, plenty to aim at if Thistle can get a good ball into the box. Cragan to Burns. Stumbles and falls against the challenge of Jackie McNamara. But far from being a penalty, the decision goes the other way.
I think the referee spot on Jamie Mitchell. I think trying to corner the referee there, holding on to Jackie McNamara with 2 arms. You see him here, there's no way it's a foul from Jackie's point of view. Again, Mitchell causing problems.
Hartson's flick. Patterson's clearance. Lambert didn't know much about that, did well to control it. Lofted on by McNamara to Sutton. Now John Hartson into a dangerous position, and Henrik Larsson scores. Thistle's resistance is broken. 71 minutes played as Larsson scores his 5th goal of the season. Celtic are ahead.
The substitution paying off right away for Martin O'Neill. The front 3 linking. Sutton, great run from Hartson, and that's a magnificent ball in with Henrik Larsson, nice and comfortable, can't really miss it. Credit to Martin O'Neill for the change. It's worked right away for him.
Yeah, the substitution paying immediate dividends. Sutton with the flick. Firstly, Hartson lofted it across goal, and who was it but Henrik Larsson to apply the finishing touch, set up by John Hartson. And one wonders if John Lambie now wishes he'd made this change immediately John Hartson came on, because as we heard from Chick, the substitution by Thistle designed to counteract what Celtic have now done, but what Celtic's change has already done is give them a goal.
Yep, John Lambie might be regretting that one, but Rob, I tell you, probably Thistle's best spell of the game for a while there. They seem to have weathered the storm. Chris Sutton misses 2 earlier opportunities. Thistle was starting to look as if they were causing problems going forward, but you can never write off Henrik Larsson. Again, he's in the right place at the right time. He made it look simple, but for me it's all about support play. Got there, realised, read Hartson's cross and made it an easy finish.
Hartson against Cragan. That was out. Stephen Cragan did well. There's another player that takes a bit of shifting out of the way, is the Welsh international striker.
Stephen Cragan's played very well today. The physical threat of Larsson, Sutton and Hartson is difficult to play against, but they've certainly stood their ground and held their corner well.
Well, he's struggling for form, isn't he, Henrik Larsson? Only the 5 goals in 5 games this season, and as ever, he's in the right place at the right time.
It's good striker play, but when you see all 3 strikers, it's real good quality. Chris Sutton, great touch, great play, good run from Hartson, and a marvellous ball across the goal, and Henrik timed his run to perfection.
I think Larsson goals are getting so predictable now that Martin O'Neill doesn't even do his jump up into the air anymore. It was a polite round of applause.
tell you what, I bet he's a relief man. This could be one of those games that could have went to a 0-0 easily.
It's been such a spirited showing from Thistle. They've resisted for so long, and what they don't want to do now is crumble.
John Lambert's got to make a decision, Rob. Does he try and come out a little bit and try and force the play and try and get a draw out of the match, which obviously is going to leave them exposed at the back end? Or does he stick for damage limitation? No, John, I think he'll go for it.
Paul Walker for Andy Gibson, and Walker playing in exactly the same position, so nothing changed greatly in that respect. Hartson's cross beyond Larsson, might work for Chris Sutton. No! Fierce drive beaten away by Arthur. He got everything behind that, Sutton. Sheer power from the Celtic striker.
He managed to hit target, though. That's so important. Chris Sutton managing to hit the target. Good ball in from John Hartson. Henrik Larsson putting Cragen under pressure. A decent first touch from Chris Sutton. Showing his left foot isn't too bad there. A hard shot and a good parry from the goalkeeper.
Couple of good saves for Arthur, but he's beaten once in the match already by Henrik Larsson, who merely had to test the ball in, set up by Sutton and Hartson. Here's John Hartson again, and a gap, a fierce cross, which goes all the way through to Steve Guppy on the other side. Guppy drifting beyond Lilly. Hartson knocks it down. Larsson trying to set up Paul Lambert. Guppy again wasting no time in driving the ball in. Derek White doing the defending, and Martin Hardy hooks it away.
You feel as if Celtic are really turning this through now. Petty delivery from a gap first time, and then Guppy. And I think Henrik Larsson, he actually tried to lay the ball off there to Paul Lambert, with Dick and McNamara might have been his better option. Those we're all human, we can make an occasional mistake.
Thistle 0, Celtic 1. In case you've just joined us, you'll see the scoreline on the screen. You don't really need me to tell you, but Henrik Larsson has scored the goal that promises to keep up Celtic's 100% record in the Premier League this season, and getting Rangers a challenge of keeping up the chase. Already 2 points adrift, of course, after their drop point at Kilmarnock on the opening weekend of the season. Celtic where they want to be, at the front, as they look for the 3 titles on the trot. Alec Burns for Thistle. Great ball in, and Rob Douglas looked to half that until he collided with Bobo Balde. No one there to profit from the indecision for Thistle. And at the other end it's Larsson. And Patterson was there before that. Found its way through to John Hartson. Did well to whip this in, Burns, but in truth no takers in the middle.
That's right, there's no support there. Unfortunately for Rob Douglas and Bobo Balde, certainly no communication between the two of them. Alec Burns worked exceptionally well down the right-hand side. It's a hard ball to defend against, and really if it had been a Thistle forward backing up Burns there, it could have been an equaliser.
Some harsh words might have been flung in Balde's direction there from his goalkeeper, and with a bit of luck he didn't understand them. Because Douglas looked to have that pouch until the defender got in the way. "12 minutes left of the 90. Sutton went for it, so did Lilly. Both hobbling slightly. Guppy dancing away from the challenge, in between Cragen and Lilly. Larsson at the back post. Hardy forces it away. And that was wonderful wing play from Steve Guppy. We know about his crossing ability, but he can beat men as well, as he showed there.
Great quality, great. The way he moved his feet off from right foot to left foot and managed to get the yard of space to play the crossing. His quality is so good when he goes forward. Good composure. He's got the option to play the ball wide, but dances between the defenders. They're trying to touch him because they fear of giving away the penalty kick, and Henrik Larsson a little bit unlucky with the header at the back post.
Thistle trying to create something. Jamie Mitchell trying to force his way through. Thistle thinking about making another change, I think. Danny Lennon, the club captain, might be about to come on and lend his experience to the occasion. David Lilly, in fact, is hobbling, and it looks as if it's Lennon for Lilly. That's the change Thistle want to make, and they'll want to make it pretty hurriedly because David Lilly's match clearly is over.
Yeah, I think it was the 50-50 between Lilly and Chris Sutton, where Lilly's come out the one with the problem. I feel that when Thistle go forward now, Rob, they have to get support to the front players. They have to take a chance. The last time the ball went into the box there was nobody at all to follow up the loose ball. If they're going to get back this match, they have to take one or two chances.
Jimmy Buchan seems to be moving out to this right wing-back slot now, with Lilly having come off, and Danny Lennon will presumably slot into central midfield.
Yep, Jamie Buchan can play in that position without any problem. He's played so well today, I'm sure he'll handle it if he's playing there.
And here is the new right wing-back, Jamie Buchan. Lennon screaming for it inside and gets it now. Here's the captain. Buchan for Burns. Well, the head flick on was a decent enough idea if there had been someone behind him.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Rob. That's a chance. Alec Burns, he can't take the ball in. He's got to knock it on, but if you're going to knock it on, you have to have somebody backing him up, somebody going beyond in the hope that you get the opportunity. Take the chance that you're going to, the ball maybe fall to you inside the box to try and get back in the match.
Derek White to Danny Lennon. Scored in the Olympic Stadium in Munich. He'll keep that one in his scrapbook forevermore, I would have thought, when he was playing with Race Rovers.
Absolutely. That wouldn't happen very often. He's been a good pro over the years, Danny Lennon.
Good jump by Scott Patterson to beat John Hartson. And Patterson again. Here he is. Looks as if he's scrolling through it at times, Scott Patterson, but there's been plenty effort put in here. Hardy against Sutton. Sutton's already taken one victim with David Lilly unable to continue. If you're going to challenge with him, you know all about it.
Well, really so. Chris Sutton's a very aggressive player. He's a very talented player. He's playing just off the front now. He's having to make more challenges.
Alec Burns looking to set someone up. And the deflected shot goes wide from Alan Archibald.
Good play from Alec Burns down the left-hand side, holding the ball up, setting it off for Alan Archibald, hit the shot. I think Rab Douglas probably would have had it covered. It's simply deflected for the corner kick. Fair from Thistle, they've got their shots.
It flicked off Ulrik Laursen on its way behind. Archibald with the corner, and distressingly for Thistle, no one there.
You're right, Rob, there's got to be a challenge. You're 1-0 down going into the last part of the match. You've got to throw people forward and hope you get something.
Again, that's superb defending from Scott Patterson. He's done his reputation no harm at all here. Again, top quality strike force. And Thistle don't want to do that. Good recovery from Pragan. And now Derek White trying to drive Thistle on. He and Lennon, the two experienced campaigners. In the closing stages, and Thistle clearly are going to give it everything to try and rescue something from the game. Celtic will hear about to make another change. It could be Stephen Craney who's getting himself ready for business. On as a sub for Scotland against Denmark in midweek, so he looked pretty good when he came on despite his lack of matches. It's a problem when you're at Celtic, but he will get a brief outing here. And it's Craney for Sutton.
I think Chris Sutton's been involved in a few challenges in the middle of the park, and Van Neil's maybe a little bit concerned. They picked up a knock before Wednesday night's game. I think you might find Steve Guppy could maybe play more central beside Lambert and McNamara.
Jimmy Mitchell gets a good hand from the Thistle support. He's tried everything. He's done well, and his replacement is the 21-year-old former Falkirk player Ricky Waddle.
Mitchell's played well. I'm sure John Lambert will be delighted with his contribution today. Worked very, very hard.
He's been a good signing from Clyde. Balde's free kick. Straight down the throat of Jamie Buchan. And it's at that time of the match where you start to look at your watch and you realise that we've only 5.5 minutes of regulation time remaining. Celtic with the advantage, but it's a slender advantage. Henrik Larsson's 5th goal of the season is the difference in terms of scoreline. Although you would have to say Celtic had an awful lot of chances which preceded the one which finally hit the net.
When you look at the clear-cut chances in the game, Rob, Henrik Larsson certainly had a few in the first half. It was unfortunate. And Chris Sutton, 2 excellent chances second half, and eventually maybe on the balance of chances alone, Celtic just deserved to be in front.
Patterson to Buchan. Alec Burns did well to make that his. Wide from Lennon to Archibald. Good work from Waddle. But the cross always made Rob Douglas' favourite. They don't exactly have an awful lot of height about their strike force. Thistle, and it's lost it in like that. It's always going to be the goalkeepers. .86 minutes on the clock. Steve Guppy on the ball. Good running from Craney. Guppy's cross. Patterson's header. Steve Guppy again. Good play. Lambert to McNamara. Agathe makes his move and then withdraws to receive the pass. And an awkward one for Kenny Arthur. It was deflected off Waddle, and the goalkeeper couldn't prevent that crossing the line for a corner.
The break for Celtic. It's not the best of deliveries from Didier Agathe again. They took a deflection the way over, and Kenny Arthur just carried the ball over the line for the corner kick for Celtic.
What you can't take away from Partick Thistle is that this has been a top showing from them. Some of the passing hasn't been too hot, but everything else John Lambert will be well pleased with. Guppy's corner kick, and the free kick against Balde, long before the ball had arrived.
I think there's a little bit of a push from Dianbobo Balde there on Derek White.
So, what do we reckon about man of the match, I wonder?
Hey Rob, there's a few contenders when you look through both teams really. You look at Partick Thistle, they've been exceptional at the back. Kenny Arthur and goals played very well. You look at Cragen, Patterson, White, all exceptional. And for me also Henrik Larsson, he's got that goal again, so important, but I think in the balance of play, but they've got to go for a defender, Scott Parks and Partick Thistle.
So, Scott Patterson, man of the match, tremendous for Thistle last season, and he's shaping up well here in the Premier League as well. It couldn't have been a tougher test for him, and by Sandy's reckoning, he's the top man this afternoon, and I don't think too many people would disagree with that, which is unusual for you.
He's got 2 minutes to score a goal now.
He's done it when our cameras have been here before. Both his goals last season, Patterson came in the Tenant Scottish Cup, both against Inverness Cally Thistle. He got this spectacular equaliser here, which took the match to a replay, and then he scored in the replay as well as Thistle marched on to the last 4 of the competition. But this is the Bank of Scotland Premier League, and Celtic on their way, barring a mishap, to another win. It would be their 4th back-to-back as they defend their title. Thistle have given us all they've got, but they haven't really threatened an awful lot up front. They've never looked too likely to score. Celtic have had numerous chances. Didier Agathe thinking about trying to create something else for them. Now McNamara. John Hartson. Offside.
I think John Lambert will be happy with his performance. He'll be really disappointed and frustrated the fact that they look as if they're going to take no points from the match. But there's so many pluses. And for Thistle, that's a well offside. But for Thistle, the important games are not against Old Firm, Rob. It's going to be picking up points from the other 9 teams in the SPL. If they play the way they've played today with their organisation, their desire, I'm sure they'll have a good season.
Hardy's the target. Gets his head to it as well. Through went Paul Walker to try and get on the end of it. That's what Martin Hardy does so well, drifting from midfield to attack, and certainly scored a lot of goals in the last couple of seasons.
He's very good in the air, very aggressive. It's a decent header forward, and Rab Douglas shown his concentration there, managing to go off his line and clear the danger. 90
minutes gone, 3 to be added. Steve Guppy. And this time, a little bit of tiredness creeping in. His socks are rolled down, and he's got through a pound of work, Guppy. And that cross had tiredness written all over it.
You're right, Rob, but Steve Guppy's been up and down that line all day today. The one thing about Celtic, they've had to work exceptionally hard because Thistle have worked so hard. If they, if a lesser team would have collapsed under the pressure that Thistle put on them today. And Steve Guppy, you're right, a tired one now.
Three minutes of added time. Can Thistle find it within themselves to force an equaliser? It's not on the script for Celtic. But Thistle have to pour everything into the closing couple of minutes. John Hartson, so strong. Craney, helped out by Lambert. Now Guppy. Steve Guppy looks as if he's ready to collapse in a darkened room any time now. It's been pretty hot work out there. Not often you say that about Scottish football, but it's been a hot and sunny afternoon. And Thistle have followed their 3 opening Premier League draws with pretty impressive showing here against the reigning champions. And if they can keep up this level of performance, then they won't live up to some people's predictions, which had them favourites for the drop.
They can certainly walk off this part with their head held high.
Laursen dealing with the threat of a pint-sized Paul Walker.
Thistle are still fighting and still trying to get in the match.
I think with John Lambert at the touchline, you don't have much choice, to be fair. You don't want to go in and face that if you've been giving it only 75%. The paint might be stripping off the walls where you seem to be slapping on this Thistle side. Nothing to do with redecoration, that's John Lambert's voice.
Does John swear?
Never on a Sunday. Free kick against that challenge on Didier Agathe, and you can see in these Thistle faces how much they've put into this afternoon.
They've given everything they've got, and as a football manager you can't ask for any more from your players. Try to play the position the manager asks you and give them your best shot, and that's all a manager can ask for.
Four wins out of 4 for Martin O'Neill and Celtic. The title defence is going according to his plan. A narrow victory today though. Saturday lunchtime at Firhill. Henrik Larsson with his 5th goal in 5 games settled it after Celtic had spurned quite a few more than decent chances. Larsson himself had missed an opportunity or 2. Chris Sutton as well. But finally Larsson struck, set up by John Hartson and by Chris Sutton. And the man of the match is Scott Patterson. And those of you watching closely will have seen that he was led away by the arm by Chick Young. And the Thistle fans basking in the sunshine, some of them in their sombreros. It's been a pretty encouraging afternoon for them, because although they lost, they put an awful lot into this, and in the likes of Jamie Buchan and Scott Patterson, they had outstanding performances. John Lambert and Scott Patterson with you.
John, it was a magnificent performance for Thistle, but you've lost that unbeaten record.
Yeah, I was disappointed with the goal we lost. I know they got a couple of better chances earlier on in the second half, but the goal that we lost I thought was diabolical, to be honest.
But you showed you did the right thing by coming out and having a go at Celtic.
Well, we had a goal. We played 3 up, we played 2 wide, and I think that's the best thing to do for the likes of supporters. Come and watching defensive football against a team like Celtic. You're only giving them the advantage and the initiative.
I saw you trying to reshuffle your midfield after Celtic introduced Hartson. You didn't make the change before the goal was scored.
Yeah, because they pushed Sutton just off the front too, so we thought we'd put Buck in there and bring Mitchell back to the midfield to combat that, but a wee bit too late, I think, because, as I say, I was disappointed the way we lost the goal.
So you're going to that dressing room. What will you have to say to your players? I mean, you're not going to be happy because you lost, but you showed that Thistle can match the best.
Well, I'll be honest, my players have given me 100%. I can't ask any more of that trick at the end of the day. I mean, we've played, that's our 4th game, and really, to be honest, there's been no team that's got through and top of us all season. We've lost them with stupid high balls into the box and dead ball situations, but as I say, I want to have a look at the goal before I say too much, but as far as effort goes, the guys gave me everything.
No one gave you more than the man beside you, Scott Patterson, who's been named man of the match for Sandy Clark. What about Scott, first of all, for asking for yourself?
Well, if we cut out some of the wee daft things, I've always said he can play at the highest level. I'm talking about Scotland, and he's that comfortable on the ball. He's a superb player to play with. The big thing is he just goes to sleep for 2 or 3 minutes in the game at times, and it dampens his play, if you know what I mean. But he's a superb player.
Scott, as I dragged you off the pitch to bring in here, you were surprised. I said you were named man of the match. Why are you shocked?
I just thought the poor game, you know. Over 90 minutes I thought we did well, disappointed, as the gaffer said, disappointed to lose a stupid goal. And we've got to get our heads up for next week now.
Actually, I think we can show you that goal. Maybe you'd like to decide exactly what went wrong with it. How do you see it, Scott? The ball was played in, John. I don't know.
Yeah, it was over to Craig and let the boy make the run, and Scotty's came and put it down. Look where Larsson. Look at Larsson. I mean, wait till you've caught the other side and the goalkeeper's in the near post, and it's just a tap in. I mean, it's a terrible goal from your point of view to lose.
Yeah. Scott, do you feel you committed yourself there?
Well, I had to go in because the ball went over Cargo's head, and it's a great ball in, so just one of that thing.
But you've had a taste of the champions. I mean, what you obviously feel you can match anyone there.
As the gaffer said, I think it's the 4th game now, and I think we've played really well. No one's really played through us. They had a couple of chances today, but I've been enjoying it.
Scott, I'm going to throw a question at you. Scotland call-off, has that ever been in your thoughts?
No, not at all. Just got to concentrate and do well for Thistle.
Well, I'd be delighted to see you're man of the match. I should have a bottle of champagne for you. It's gone missing somewhere in the back rooms of Firhill. We're searching out the culprits, but we'll get one to you.
Scott Patterson and Sandy Clark disagreeing about who should be the man of the match, and although Thistle and John Lambert won't be happy to have lost Murdoch, it's one of those games where both sides are actually not unhappy with the way things went.
I think they can take an awful lot of credit from it. They played well, they battled well. I think John will watch the game again tonight in video, and I think he'll be disappointed from the midfield area forward. They gave the ball away all the time, and they just had to go and scrap to try and get it back, and I think that was a major problem for them, giving the ball away too often.
Yeah, but Partick Thistle, remember, 2 years ago we were playing 2nd division football. 2 or 3 players involved today were in that team. Now they've played 4 games in the Premier League, 3 draws, they've lost to the champions by 1 goal. It's a decent start, isn't it?
Well, they've had the Livingston run, haven't they, from the bottom leagues without the money.
Yeah.
So they're there, and it's a great achievement for John, and it's a wonderful accolade to the whole club that it's a live match in BBC for the game to go ahead. But I think he'll be happy overall, because a lot of teams have been turned over heavily. Dundee United last week 5-0. Really, it's a sore one to recover from. But Thistle now can take an awful lot from that game. John will let them know that they can go and scrap, go and fight, and go and match Celtic.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, Celtic were the winners by a 1-0. Let's look back over the story of this lunchtime 90 minutes at Firhill. Played in the sunshine, and Thistle had a go. All credit to them, they set it up, but it was always on the back foot, especially when you've got the quality of someone like Henrik Larsson Murdoch.
Yeah, but for me, he was the man of the match. I think he tried to create all the time. He set up chances for his teammates. He had about 4 or 5 efforts himself. Look at this one here, he's set up, it's been blocked. first to react again, knocked it by the post.
Now, this is an interesting one. Rob Douglas crashing into Jamie Mitchell here. If you're a die-hard Thistle fan, you might not be too happy about that.
Well, I think you'd be looking maybe for something there, goalkeeper taking a striker out, but very soft one in the receiving end.
And again, maybe a softish penalty claim here, but I don't think Alan Archibald knew much about that. Really.
We've seen a couple of them given throughout the course of the season, but it's a soft one, because the player's jumping up, turning his back in the ball, but again it's stopping the ball going into the box.
Steve Guppy and Didier Agathe got a lot of good balls in from wide positions today, didn't they?
Yeah, Guppy's a great cross of the ball. A good header. Again, Larsson involved there, getting in front of defenders. You tell all the young kids, that's where to go in front of defenders. Look at Larsson, he's peeled away, and then the last minute, 5-yard sprint, in about it. But Kenny Arthur, good save.
It was, good save by the keeper. And Henrik Larsson again.
Yeah, he's just so sharp about the box. He always felt as if there was going to be a goal scored today. Larsson was the guy who was going to go on the end. Quick to react. Kenny Arthur, again, closing the angle down there. Larsson tried to go the long way round. They're just too wide for him.
Into the second half then. And this was a terrific chance for Chris Sutton. His first touch, obviously, poor.
Yeah, I think if it bounced a wee bit higher, they're taking it first time here. But he must have felt it wasn't enough. And Kenny Arthur again was out. I think you've got to give credit to the goalkeeper as well, but a poor first touch from Chris Sutton. Here's the goal, the build-up. I think it was a great ball here from John Hartson. A lot of people maybe brought the ball back into play, but he knew that Larsson back post. He just fed the ball out. Look at that, we touch on. But they're outside of the boot, back post. Terry White again be caught in the wrong side of Henrik Larsson.
And he chests it into the net, in fact. Right place, right time. How many times have we said that about Henrik Larsson? And then towards the end, Thistle, who didn't really show a great deal as an attacking force, but Alan Archibald has a crack here, and well, this could have gone anywhere, I suppose.
Well, sometimes when it goes into so many players, if it's 5 defenders there, Big Alan's a good strike there, but just deflected across the goalkeeper.
1-0 then, and Celtic will now turn their attention to the big Champions League qualifier on Wednesday, which is clearly an absolutely huge match for them. And they've done well to come out of it. A few changes in the team, no injuries that we know of, and 3 more league points in the bag, so they can travel with confidence.
I think that was the most important thing. No injuries in 90 minutes for Didier Agathe. I felt in the second half he dropped out of the game. He wasn't so evident. First half he caused 1 or 2 problems, but again it's 90 minutes, so I wonder if Martin will think about him, or Silla's still there. Silla's been playing very well, but I think Agathe's pace is the one thing away from home in Europe. It's a big bonus for
Do you
him.
think Celtic will look for a goal on Wednesday night? Because you'd imagine that would kill the match if they can score.
I think if they get one, that the game's finished. But I think the longer it goes, and if Basel score first, I think it's a tough one for Celtic, but they've got to look to score. But Martin doesn't change it as far as going to sit in for the 90 minutes and defend his 3-1. The players are good enough to do that, but I think the quality he's got in the park there, he's got 2 wide players in the system that will get forward and create chances, and when you've got Larsson, you've got Sutton, Hartson back up as well, I think you've got to look for a goal.
We're delighted obviously that Celtic travel there with a 3-1 lead, but in some ways it's exactly the same as the first leg. There's a confidence there, maybe unjustified in the first leg, but we've now seen how good Basel are. We know that they're a good side, we know that they're a threat. No danger of overconfidence, I assume, in the Celtic camp. They won't believe the job's done.
I think a few Celtic players would get a surprise how well Basel played. Technically very good, they were very quick as well, and then they scored within 90 seconds, so I think that was a shock for Celtic. But for Celtic to fight back, score 3 goals and miss a penalty kick, no, you're saying about this, a lot of people said Celtic didn't play so well in the night, but to actually do that to a quality side, a great achievement in Europe, and they must feel a good Celtic performance away from home. They will get all 3, well they'll get through into the latter stages. Yeah,
defensively Celtic were never really threatened greatly today, but there's a lot of strength at the back now. Mjällby didn't play today, but Larsson's fitted in very well alongside Balde and Valgaeren.
Well, it gives them the balance with Larsson, and the left-hand side is ideal, so a good back 3 just now.
Okay, well we assume that Martin O'Neill will be a happy man after picking up those 3 points today. Let's find out. He's talking to Chet.
Martin, that was a battle for you, wasn't it? That was hard work, very hard work indeed. But I expected it beforehand. But we lacked energy today, I don't know, for whatever reason. And we obviously changed the side around a wee bit. With Wednesday in mind, boys coming back from international duty, sometimes you can do too much of that. You know, we played splendidly last week, and but a week's a long time in the game. We want to try and get people as fit as possible, and for all sorts of reasons. But the most important thing is to win the game. We finally did that. Finally did it. But it was hard work, and I thought I thought they played very well indeed.
One goal did it, of course. Henrik, surprise, surprise. We can have a look at the goal, I think, Martin, if you want. And it was vital, wasn't it, for you? Three forwards up there doing it for you.
Well, John Hartson, just to give us a wee bit more impetus, I thought it was a delightful ball. He flicked through. Henrik scored. It just, it wasn't a day for any of us. And but you must give Partick Thistle credit. They've come back. They've just come up. They hadn't been beaten. But you can see why. They put a big effort into the game. And as we were going for it to try and get the goal, we were leaving some gaps at the back, and they were exploiting them. So I'm delighted to have won.
But a little bit of credit to the old head. You brought on made the tactical switch, brought on Hartson, and the goal came immediately. Well,
obviously I'm pleased, and John's biding his time at this moment. He's had that knee problem that has prevented him from training every single day just recently. And we don't want it to get too much of a problem, but he'll be absolutely fine. Just needs a bit of sharpness, and I'd say a bit of sharpness. I thought we all needed it today.
You rang all these changes, Martin, and I looked at the players in the stand, the players on the bench, and of course the team that started, and you do have a lot of depth, don't you?
Well, we've got some very, very good players, without a doubt. I mean, we left Momo Silla and Johan Malby for a start. Never mind anything else, but Didier Agathe needed the game, and it's a balancing act at the moment. But my old phrase was that out of European football, every man for himself, and after that.
Well, absolutely, and of course the transfer deadline runs out at the end of the month, so you'll be plunging into the money.
Well, we've been linked with a number of players,
300, I think.
Well, not too bad actually. Some I thought within my range, some well out of my range, to be perfectly honest. But see what we do rather than what is suspected.
Without names, will you have someone in before?
No, I would at this minute. It may well be doubtful. It doesn't mean that we can't that we're still searching around, because if we made it, then you can't do anything then for about 4 or 5 months, and you could get a whole host of injuries. That's the same with every club, and if we don't get anyone in, well, we'll go with exactly what we have.
Well, we hope you're in the draw on Thursday, Martin, and confident you can get through into tonight.
We need to play a lot better than we did today, and but we're going to have to defend as tightly as possible, and we're going to have to try and score a goal, which I think we're capable of.
You're not playing the Jags, it'll be all right. Thanks, Martin. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, Partick Thistle 0, Celtic 1.